going to start in course setup today. We'll look at creating a sandbox course, and then I'll remind you how you're able to copy that content into your courses for next year. Then we'll review some course settings, and you can check and uncheck some boxes in that area. And then finally, we'll wrap up with course navigation, and we'll make some changes so that your course navigation works for you and for your students. So I'm going to start here on my Canvas dashboard, and on the right hand side you might have some things on your to-do list or this coming up section here, or this might be blank since we're in the summer, but either way you should have a start a new course button on the right hand side, and that allows you to create a sandbox if you don't already have one. Once you create that sandbox, you are able to import content from previous courses, or in August, when our new courses become available, you can also import content from a sandbox into your new course. So I just clicked in my course and I'm going to go to settings. As a reminder, and we will send out this information as the school year approaches, you are able to import course content here, and this is how you'll transfer course content either from your sandbox to your new course or from an old course to your sandbox, and from each semester to the next. In the settings area, we're going to look at some of the options that you have available to you. As a reminder, you are able to add a course image here. This is the first option. Your course name is probably not editable, and that's because it's populated by PowerSchool. You are able to scroll down and change a few settings down at the bottom. So I want to just point out these settings to you. So I'm going to click all the way at the bottom on more options. So by default, these 4 options are checked for you and for your courses. So the first option here is let students attach files to discussion, and you can choose to either have that on or off. And as a reminder, it is going to be on by default. Let students create discussion topics, which means that they would be able to create their own discussion topics. You might want to turn this off if you intend to be the only one creating discussion topics. Next, speaking of discussions, let students edit or delete their own discussion posts. You're able to turn that on or off. And finally, let students organize their own groups. In our experience, this box should really be unchecked. Students then are not going to be able to create their own groups. They will have to wait for you as the teacher to create those groups for them. And you can see a few of the other options down here at the bottom. When I'm done, I'm just going to click Update Course Details. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come back up to the top and change my course navigation. We recommend as a team for you to disable anything that you don't want students to have direct links to. So let's say, for instance, that I intend to organize my course in modules. So my students really don't need access to assignments directly, or discussions, or quizzes. And I'll also take off pages. And I know that they're going to be going directly to modules. What I would like to do is actually move modules to the top. So we're going to go actually one down. So here I've got home, and then I have my modules. I can update it so that my assignments go above that even. Grades you can keep on or off. People I would typically disable. I would definitely disable files. The one that you will not want to disable is this grade sync. You'll want to make sure that that stays on, because that's how you and the Connected Learning team are able to see if your grades are syncing properly. Grade sync will not show up for students, so make sure that you keep that around, because you will be the one to see that and you'll want that information. So this is how we update our course navigation. If I scroll down to the bottom, then I can click Save. And what you'll see on the left-hand side is that there's some eyeballs next to the ones that are not visible to students. Now, the reason my announcements and modules also have those is because there's actually no content there yet. Once the content becomes available, then the students would see that in their course navigation. Next up, we're going to look at organizing our course content within modules. These will act like file folders within your course, and they can house things like pages, files, quizzes, assignments, and discussions. So let's take a look at creating some new modules. So I went to modules in my course navigation, and then I can either click here, create a new module, or I can choose the blue plus button in the top right-hand corner. I'll give my module a name. Let's say it's Unit 4. And then I can begin adding content to this module. So I'm going to come onto the right side of the module itself and I'll click the plus button. And I can add things like assignments, quizzes, files, pages, discussions. Text headers would be like dividers for my module content. I can add external URLs as well as external tools. I'm going to add an assignment to this module. So I can click New Assignment, and I'm just creating a brand new assignment. So let's say this is Unit 4, Assignment number 1. And as I begin to add content to this module, I can also organize it. Let's say that I want to rearrange the content here. I want the lesson to come before the unit or before the assignment. I can just click and drag that lesson there. If I'd like to maybe nest the lesson under the assignment, I am able to click the 3 dots on the side and increase that indent. So I can go a few over, and then you can see a clear hierarchy there. And then I'd be able to add, a new page with maybe lesson number 2. And do the same thing with a new assignment, assignment number 2. So I can begin to build this module structure for my students. As a reminder, with all content in Canvas as well as your course, you will want to make sure that you publish things. So when I go into each of these items and I actually add content or add due dates and points, things like that for my assignments and my pages, I will want to make sure that I click this publish, or that when I'm done with them, I click save and publish. And so you can see now all of my module content is published. In addition to adding content to our modules, we are able to add requirements, module requirements. I'm going to come up to the 3 dots next to my module plus button, and I'm going to choose edit. And now I get options to maybe lock that module until a certain date. I don't want the students to be able to access it until, we hit August 28th, something along those lines. I can also add requirements. So I can say students must complete the following items in order to meet the requirements for that module. So for this one, I can say the Unit 4 Lesson 1, which is just a page, I want them to view the item. I can also have them mark that as done. They actually have to click a button that says, yes, I did this. The next requirement might be to look at the first assignment and actually submit the assignment. And I can do the same thing with my Lesson 2 items. So in order for students to complete this module, they must complete these 4 items. I can also choose to say that they must complete the items in sequential order, or maybe this is a module that's sort of a choose your own adventure. So the students only need to complete one of these requirements to complete that module. And then I'll just click Update Module and I'm done. So this now complete all items will show up for students and they'll be able to see their progress, and I'll be able to see their progress as the teacher as well. As I add additional modules, I can also add prerequisites. Next, we're going to take a look at the Canvas calendar and how we can organize that information for students. The Canvas calendar can house events, which only show on the calendar, as well as assignments, which will show within the calendar, within the assignments navigation, as well as the modules area. Each course within Canvas has its own separate calendar. So instead of calendar being on your course navigation, calendar is going to show on what we call our global navigation. So we'll click on the left-hand side where it says calendar, and then I'm going to see the current month that we're in, as well as on the right-hand side, any courses I might be enrolled in. To view different courses, I will just select the box next to that course to display the events from that calendar. If I'd like to add an event to a class or add an assignment to a class, I'm going to click on a day. So let's say July 15th. And it's going to allow me to add an event. The first thing I want you to notice is what calendar it's currently going on. Canvas also has a calendar that's just associated with you, in addition to the calendars that are associated with your classes. So be sure that you're selected on your class calendar and not the calendar that's just associated with you, because that would then not be shared with students. So I'm going to select my second semester Margeson course, and then I'm going to add an event to this calendar. So maybe my students are going to be doing a project and they will start their presentations on July 15th, and I want them to remember that that is the day that we're starting our presentations. So I can add information here to the title, and I would recommend being descriptive in your title. If I'd like to add additional details to this, I can also click more options and I'll get a full editor to add the details. And then I'll just click submit, and it will show now on my students' calendars. As a reminder, events will only show on the calendar. They will not show anywhere else within the course. So let's say I want to add an assignment. So maybe the assignment is for the 14th. I'm going to click on assignment. I'm going to again make sure that I'm on the correct calendar here. And I'm going to add that assignment. So maybe their project drafts are due. So I would probably be more descriptive if it were my actual class. So I might say like animal research project drafts due, something along those lines in the title of the assignment. I want to avoid creating assignments on the calendar that just say social studies or reading or math. Right? I want it to be a little more descriptive for the students so that they can actually see what that item is. Now, I don't want to overload it either, right? I want a healthy balance of those two things. So once I get into the assignment, that's when I'll add all those details. So I can also choose here to sync it to PowerSchool and publish that assignment for students. If I click more details, I'll get into the assignment editor, and then I just click submit. So let's say I've added an event and it's on the wrong calendar or it's in the wrong class. I am able to select a different class, select that event, choose edit, and then change the event to the correct calendar. This drop-down menu is only going to show the calendars that are currently selected on the right-hand side menu. So keep that in mind, and then I'll just click submit. I am not able to do the same transferring of assignments that I'm able to do with events. If it were an assignment, I would need to either recreate it or share it between my two courses, since those assignments are created within a course. So keep that in mind, that you will want to make sure that you're aware of which calendar you're posting to when you're creating assignments or events from the calendar. If I create an assignment within a module, so you saw that I created a couple assignment shells earlier, and I add a due date to those will automatically show up on my course calendar. So there's nothing I'll have to do extra to make those assignments show up. That will be the same thing with quizzes. So if I create something and it has a due date attached to it, it will show up on my calendar. The last item that we're going to look at is creating pages within Canvas. So we'll look at pages for instruction and how to add content to those pages and some pro tips that we have for just organizing that content. And then we'll wrap up looking at home pages and how you might be able to get some inspiration from other home pages in the Canvas Commons. To create a page, I'm going to start on the Pages area on the left-hand side navigation. I can also come up to my modules and click on any of the pages that I created before those placeholders. So I've got my 2 placeholders here, and I'm going to work on Unit 4, Lesson 1. I'll come up to the top and click Edit. And now I'm able to add content using my Rich Content Editor. So I'm going to start by adding some topics. So let's say I've got maybe 3 topics that I'm going to talk about in this page. And then underneath each topic, I also have some content. And maybe on my 3rd topic, I have a subtopic. Put 2 of those in there. And each of those has some content in it. So I get all my content onto my page, and I want to make sure that it's organized for the students and that it's easy to read and easy to follow along. So I can always come in here and I can, highlight the text, change the size, make it bold, change the color, put some emphasis on it. But what we recommend doing is actually using your headings. So right where it says paragraph here, I'm going to make topic 1 into a heading, topic 2 into a heading, topic 3 into a heading, and then for my subtopics, instead of making them a heading 2, I'm going to make them a heading 3, which means they're just going to be just a little smaller than my main topics here. And then of course I've got my content there, and this just kind of helps break up the page a little bit. And I can add things like pictures to this. Maybe I've got some little icons or buttons. I'm able to add all that stuff on this page. So let's say I've also would like to add a link to the next lesson. So that happens to be Unit 4, Lesson 2. So I'm going to highlight the text there, and I'm going to come up to the top, and I'm going to add a link to that Unit 4, Lesson 2. I can add an external link to a website, so maybe I am referencing website content, then I can add that external link, but I'm going to add a course link this time, and I'm going to choose a page, and then we're going to choose Lesson 2 there. So it just created that hyperlink there for me. I'm also able to add things like tables, equations, and apps. Apps are going to include my Google tools as well as YouTube. If I would like to divide up the content a little more, let's say between content and next lesson, I'd like a line. So I want to actually show a physical line so that there's a break between the main content and whatever the next lesson happens to be. So here's a little pro tip for you. If you come to the bottom right and you switch it to the HTML editor, and then you can kind of see, like where it says Topic 2, and then my content right underneath that. Underneath my content, I'm going to do HR caret. Then I'm going to come back to my Rich Content Editor, and now you can see I have this nice gray line that breaks up my content a little bit. It's just a really easy way, again, to keep that page organized for your students. And when I'm done, I'll click Save. Next thing I want to point out is the Canvas Commons and how you can use that to actually get some inspiration on your home pages if you're looking for inspiration. So we'll go to our Canvas Commons, and you can either search for home page, or I'm going to actually search for my last name because I've published quite a few home pages in here. And as I keep scrolling down, I can see the other various home pages that we have. So let's say I'd like to use this home page. I am able to preview it if I click on the page. Then I can choose import or download. I'll choose my course. And now I'm going to go back to that course I was just working in, and I'm going to find that page. So even though this is a home page, it isn't actually my home page yet. It's just a template right now. So if I click back on pages, I'm going to see this home page template, and I'm able to click in it just like I was with my first lesson, and I can edit that page and add a course title. And then I'll just click Save down at the bottom. Now I'm going to come back to my Pages area here, and I'm going to choose on the right-hand side, Use as Front Page. And then I'm going to go to my Home and change my home page. So my home page is currently set to my modules. If I come here to the right, choose Home Page, I can change it to that Pages Front Page. As a reminder, with all of your course content, you always have the option to view it as a student. So if I click on Student View, I can see what they would see in my course navigation, on my pages, within my modules, and then we can see our nice home page right here. Thanks for watching this webinar. As always, if you have any questions, you can contact the Connected Learning team at clteam@tsc.k12.in.us.